Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to Booking a Better Wrestler. My name is Paul Laporte, and this is the show where we take a wrestler from WWE's roster and see if we can do a better job with them. Now, since this show has began, we have looked at a number of different types of wrestlers from the undercard, the midcard, the main event, developmental. We've kind of run the gamut, and while this show is about those wrestlers, it's really more about booking scenarios than the specific wrestlers that are being booked. And this show is not going to be any different. This is going to be kind of more of how would you do a certain thing than who specifically you're doing it with, although the person in this case is kind of important because it is kind of a one-of-a-kind booking scenario. And it's certainly the most out there idea I've had. Now, before we get things started, I would like to say that this isn't 100% my idea. I heard somebody suggest this a couple years ago, either just in passing or maybe even as a joke, and I just kind of took the idea and ran with it, and I thought that this would be a good place to fully flesh it out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to our subject for today's show, The Undertaker. Now, obviously, The Undertaker is going to be involved in a big storyline with Shane McMahon at Hell in a Cell for WrestleMania, but I think that this idea can still work, and I can work this idea into that existing storyline that's in place. Now, The Undertaker is getting to the end of his career, and he needs to retire soon, like very soon, but WWE clearly likes the idea of having that character stick around. They've been using Undertaker long past the point that they should have, in my opinion, but I think I have a solution of a way that WWE can have their cake and eat it too. Alright, so let's go ahead and fast forward to Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. Now that's, as of this recording, the situation that it is right now, so that's what we're going with. We're going to go with the current booking of this angle. So the match has whatever crazy spots and chicanery they're planning on doing, which surely is going to be a lot. This is going to be a true and a tried and true sports entertainment match. It's going to be nuts. They're going to do everything, pull out all the stops to make this just an entertaining, crazy match. But when it all gets to the end, Undertaker's going to nail Shane with the Tombstone Piledriver, and the referee's going to go down for the count 1, 2, and then the lights go out in Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Now, when the lights come back on, the Wyatt family is in the ring and attacking The Undertaker. Bray obviously has long-standing issues with The Undertaker, and the four men beat him down. Shane McMahon recovers from his tombstone just in time to walk into his sister Abigail from Bray Wyatt, and then Bray drops Shane's lifeless body on top of The Undertaker, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3. The match is over. Shane wins, Shane McMahon has control of Raw, and the Wyatt family quickly just eject him from the cell, and they use their own chain and lock to lock up the door, and they continue their assault on The Undertaker. They slam him into the cell, they leave him laying for a while until The Undertaker sits up in his trademark fashion, and he tries to fight off the four men, but he can't do it. He's beaten back down, but then again, he sits back up, continues the assault. This is basically The Undertaker's last stand. He continues the fight until Bray Wyatt hits him with 3 Sister Abigails on top of a steel chair, we'll say. The Undertaker is down, and he's motionless, and you're kind of thinking he's going to maybe sit back up again, but no, he doesn't. He doesn't recover. There's this uncomfortable period of him just laying there before the Wyatts dump him out of the ring unceremoniously, and then they celebrate what they've done inside the ring. WWE officials, they come to the cell side. They either cut off the lock or lift the cell so medical staff can come in and help The Undertaker out. They surround him, and as they're tending to him, the lights in the arena start to kind of flicker in unusual ways. You can have the effects team come up with some good spooky atmosphere, and then everything just kind of goes back to normal. All the lights go back up in the arena, everything's kind of back to the way it was, except the medics kind of back away from where they were in fear, and in The Undertaker's place is Baron Corbin. Undertaker is gone completely, and Corbin is wearing what Undertaker was during the match. The announcers, they're just as confused as everybody else. They mentioned, hey, that's Baron Corbin from NXT. What the hell is going on? Corbin sits up, slides into the ring, and then just destroys the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt gets out of the ring, leaves his goons to fight Corbin. Corbin fends them off with ease. Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan are ejected from the ring, and then that leaves Luke Harper in there by himself. He gets hit with an End of Days, Baron Corbin's signature finishing maneuver, and then Baron Corbin picks him up and gives him the Tombstone Piledriver. Corbin's left standing in the ring alone. He looks out to the audience. He looks confused, almost angry. He snaps his hands up into the air. You get more spooky lighting effects, like lightning tricks, whatever you want to do. The Undertaker's music plays, and then Baron walks to the back. The announcers are just baffled by what's going on, and they wonder aloud, like, where'd the Undertaker go? Like, what happened to the Undertaker? What's going on? The next night on Raw, Bray Wyatt comes out and explains to everyone exactly what happened. He tells the audience that this is what he wanted all along. The Undertaker was an unstoppable force trapped inside the body of an old man, and that bond needed to be broken. And that's exactly what happened last night at WrestleMania. And once that bond was broken, that force made its way into the body of a new man. A man who's young, strong, angry. And once that man realizes what he can do, no one's going to be able to stop him. It's truly going to be the End of Days. Now, this is going to explain Bray's actions, and it also introduces us to the new Undertaker. Bray Wyatt has said before that he wanted to destroy the system, destroy WWE from the inside, and his actions at Mania would further that goal more than he has in the past 3 years that he's been with the company. He's destabilized the power structure in WWE by putting Shane McMahon in charge of Raw, and he's also caused the birth of this new Undertaker, which is going to cause further chaos for the roster. For the first few weeks of this angle, we don't hear anything from the new Undertaker. He doesn't speak at all. He doesn't say a word, but at times he just shows up and randomly destroys the nearest target, whether it's backstage, interrupting the match. He just wreaks havoc, and there's no one that can stop him. And doing this way also covers up the weakness that I genuinely don't know if Baron Corbin can handle this from an acting perspective. So we're going to say that he's just going to not talk, and we will cover up that potential weakness by just letting his actions do, and Bray's exposition do the talking for him. Now, the long-term payoff for this angle is going to be Bray Wyatt attempting to gain control of this new Undertaker, kind of similar to the way that he kidnapped Kane and the Undertaker before and tried to absorb their powers or whatever, but he's just going to try and get control of this new Undertaker and use him as a pawn, as a force for his own means. All the while, Baron Corbin, the person who, quote-unquote, the Undertaker is in the body of now, he's struggling to deal with what's inside him, but he slowly starts to gain control over it, and once he does, he is going to direct his fury straight at Bray Wyatt, and this is going to establish a long-term feud between the two. Okay, so let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I understand that this idea may be too out there for some people, and no doubt others are going to think about the fake Diesel and Razor Ramon incidents that WWE has been looking back in horror, abject horror of, that they even tried something that stupid ever since. But I think this idea is different, and here's why, okay? First of all, Mark Calloway isn't going to be around from this point forward. He's not going to be in another company like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were. He's going to be gone. Like, this will be the last time we ever see him in a ring. If you want to do a Hall of Fame induction for The Undertaker, you could still do that, and you could still have Mark Calloway come out and accept that. And you can almost, it's funny because Mark Calloway, the man who is The Undertaker, has kind of really stuck to kayfabe in all these years. He gets very few interviews. He doesn't get to talk much about his career. But now you can almost say that The Undertaker is gone from him, so he's just the man. So he can kind of, he doesn't have to put up that front anymore. He can just kind of be himself. And then that way you can do kind of all the legend stuff that you like to do with guys as far as interviews and DVDs and things like that. So it's actually kind of a bonus in that way. Secondly, The Undertaker has always been an over-the-top character to which insane things happen. I mean, how many times has the guy died? Like, just straight up been killed. If this sort of angle is going to work with anyone, it's going to work with him. And finally, I think the story will work out, and it'll work better if everyone acknowledges just how crazy it is. This is nuts. This is something that's not normal, and every, rational, quote-unquote, normal member of the roster needs to treat it as such and treat it with the same skepticism and trepidation that the fans are going to have. And I think if you do that and do kind of a slow burn and introduce this character over the long haul, I think it's going to work. And I think if WWE treats the story correctly, they can parlay it into The Undertaker being around for another 20 years. I mean, once he's done with Bray Wyatt, he can battle the demon that lives in Finn Balor. I mean, there's things you can do with this. You can make The Undertaker a regular part of the roster again, like he was back in the Attitude Era when he was feuding with Kane and Mankind. And rather than having to put him into the main event and have people kind of complain that Baron Corbin's getting a shot too quickly, you can work him more into the mid-card scene. He can be kind of the show before the main event. He doesn't need to go for the world title, not anytime soon. He can just kind of do his own supernatural storylines, and you can use him that way. And you can use the excuse that Baron himself is young and inexperienced, and he doesn't know what to do with what he has fully yet. I mean, will the people reject this? Maybe. I mean, that's always a possibility, but I think that if you give people an interesting story to go with it, it's going to be accepted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Booking Better Wrestler. I would really like to get some feedback on this episode, so please be sure to let me know what you think. Also, be sure to like and subscribe this video. We're trying to get, every subscriber we can, so if you want to hit the subscribe button. If you like what you're seeing from us so far, just do that, and then you'll get notifications every day of the week when a video comes out, because we're running videos Monday through Friday. And if you just watch Booking a Better Wrestler, be sure to check out our other shows. On Monday, we have Time Warp, where we take a wrestler from history or the present and put them somewhere else along the wrestling timeline to see how they do. This past week, we did The Big Show in the 1970s. We also have Changing the Questions on Tuesday and Thursday, where we do about 15 to 20 minutes on one specific question around wrestling. This past week, we've done discussions about women's wrestling, and we've done a lot of other subjects. We tend to kind of hit our most controversial topics on that show. Also, we have, of course, on Wednesday, Booking a Better Wrestler, the show you're listening to right now. Don't really need to explain that. And then on Friday, we have Let's Play TEW, which is my run-through of a very in-depth wrestling simulation game in which I am trying to rebuild an independent promotion, Squared Circle Wrestling, that was popular in the Northeast but recently closed. If you want to leave us any other more detailed feedback, you can do that at changingthequestions@gmail.com, or you can check us out on Twitter at changingtheqs, which is at changingtheqs. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook, and that's going to wrap it up. Again, my name is Paul Laporte. Thank you guys so much for listening in. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.